With a new Pokemon game finally on the horizon, I think it's time we sit down and talk about difficulty in Pokemon games. I'm sure that anybody who played Pokemon Yellow remembers just how impossible Brock was to defeat with your Pikachu knowing only Quick Attack and Tail Whip. Having to sink hours and hours upon your time grinding on random Pidgeys in the grass and just hoping your Pikachu would be strong enough to Quick Attack its way to victory with maybe a Pidgey or a Rattata in the wings. But now, the game is just filled with EXP shares, EXP candies, sandwiches, and all these other random things, and they've just destroyed any sense of difficulty this game has ever had. Unless, of course, you caught a Mankey, or a Nidoran male, or a Nidoran female. All of whom learn fighting moves by level 10-ish, and solo Brock with ease. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm Ashie of Heart, and I wanted to see if modern Pokemon really was too easy. So, I played through all of Pokemon Scarlet Violet with absolutely no online features, but otherwise doing everything I could to break the game. Sneaking out of bounds to catch high-level Pokemon to throw against low-level gyms, grinding against things that were definitely supposed to be outside my power bracket, and anything else I could within the game's bounds. Now, all of this was recorded live over on Twitch, so if you want to see any details of what I did there, or want to be involved in the next time I do these, because I want to do one where I use all of chat's favorite Pokemon to try beating a game, make sure you follow over on there. Either way, on with the rest of the video. We settle on Sprigatito as a starter, partially because I always love the grass starters, and partially because if modern Pokemon games are this easy and this simple, it shouldn't matter what starter I choose, and we should just breeze through the game. Motorcycle in hand, we immediately make our way for my favorite spot, where I found out day one of playing this how to get out of bounds. You just lock onto this Pokemon over here, throw your Pokeball, run from the battle, and you've jumped the hill that you're not supposed to get across for quite a while. Once across the gap, we catch ourselves a Scyther, who, as a bug flying type, should be super effective against both the grass and bug gyms, and as a level 20 Pokemon should make quick work of them, immediately simplifying this run into negligible difficulty. One terrible physics puzzle later, and we're ready for the first gym, which does crumple under the weight of our Scyther, but the entire rest of our team could not stand up to this gym. We lost our flying type, we lost our poison type. We could not keep up with this gym without relying on the overpowered Scyther that had gone out of bounds to get, despite being level appropriate for the rest of the team. And Scyther ignores us! The stare down of the century here. This is, all we need to do is land the wing attack. Just land the wing attack! Thank you. You know, I joke about how silly these gym challenges are, but I really do appreciate them over mandatory trainer battle, mandatory trainer battle, mandatory trainer battle, which I think actually might be part of what leads to this run being so difficult is there's so few non-gym trainer battles you're going to have to grind anyway. The gym does start off fairly normal, having easy answers with their poison types and flying types to their starting Pokemon, but the second gym is actually where the true difficulty of this game began to show its face. Because one of the interesting things you can do with terastallizing your Pokemon is terastallize to cover weaknesses or to cover strengths. All of the gym leaders in Pokemon Scarlet Violet have terastallized Pokemon who are different from their gym's type. And having a pseudo-Wudo to counter all of the bug, flying, fire, and ice types someone might bring against your grass gym is absolutely devastating. Scyther, who should be a clean sweep on this gym, gets absolutely devastated by a single rock throw. And then the poison chip damage. Boop. There it is. I would definitely call that close. I would call that closer than I would have expected a second gym, because, like, compare and contrast, chat. We don't even win from type advantage or clever play or out-leveling it. We just get a lucky poison first turn and stall it out by throwing bodies at it until it just runs out of health bar to give. Despite getting an overleveled Pokemon that's super effective against both of the gyms, these two gyms have already been down to the wire and they're only the first two. And these aren't one-off flukes either. We hard wiped to the fourth gym, barely struggling to beat it our second time through, after an hour or two of grinding. This playthrough took me a total of 14 hours to get through, if not more. And 90% of it is on the editing room floor of just grinding against random Pokemon, trainers, running around looking for EXP candies, just doing whatever we can to keep the game moving, because even in modern Pokemon games, there is such a massive grind, unless you're using tons and tons of online features like raid dens, which are incredibly fun and interesting, but I would not use those to judge whether or not the game is difficult, because at that point, you're still just grinding. Like, literally no health, just... We got the Nuzzle! We got the Nuzzle! That GUI mattered. That speed drop mattered so much. Okay, there it is, there it is, there it is. Barely winning that gym. Barely winning that gym. Thank you, Toxel. Just being leveled enough for the fourth gym took nearly 2 hours of grinding. But the run did eventually stabilize. We even made a detour to save the absolute best doggo on the planet. This should really be voiced. This is a tragic loss for not being voiced. I love the pupper chat. I love the pupper so much. But even come the Elite Four, despite having a well-rounded, well-thought-out team that covered each other's bases, were all at the very least around level 50 or higher, we struggled. And it was a good struggle. Like, I'm not complaining that I struggled. I had genuine fun in these fights. They were close, they were down to the wire, they were tense. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was the perfect amount of difficulty. And the champion is an absolutely massive difficulty spike. Like, her team is varied, which means you have to have good type coverage across your team, and they're in the 60s! You absolutely need to grind or have a very overleveled team going into the Elite Four to be able to manage the champion. Like, you are fully healed at the very least, which isn't normal in champion battles, sure, but it still came down to the wire despite being fully healed. We just didn't have the EXP, and in my opinion, grinding's not fun. I don't play Pokemon to grind endlessly, I play Pokemon to have good climactic battles, and that's what I had out of this. But even that victory rings just a little hollow because, despite beating the Elite Four, despite beating the champion, Nimona absolutely destroys us, wipes the floor with us. She is yet another monstrous rival with an absolutely outstanding team. Pseudo-legendaries, fast Pokemon, sweepers on her team. And that Aquaval, like, give her the Aquaval and she will dominate with that thing because it just starts getting speed boosts. So what I'm really hoping we see out of Pokemon Zeta Arceus, or honestly Pokemon Pizza as it should be called, is more of the same, but give us our options back. Let us toggle the EXP share. Let us actually choose how we want to handle things. Don't remove options, but otherwise keep the game just as good as it's always been. 'Cause Pokemon was never hard, but it's always been great.